Rise and Shine Rwanda, it's Tuesday the 29th of September. Good morning, it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning and you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Regis Isheja.
And me, Fidelis Karangwa.
And over the next hour, we'll bring you all the latest news, sports and business headlines from here in Rwanda and around the world. Now Fidelis, today is going to be another one.
I know it's going to be all. You're taking over. You have a very interesting piece.
I have a great chat coming up with, part of the creative sector here and part of the creative sector in Sweden and those who made it happen, who made the marriage happen. It's a beautiful thing. And then there's a lot going on in the world too. I know you have Aquila coming up.
I do.
As every Tuesday. And then we have, the Pope visiting the US. He has caused a lot of commotion.
Great hot topics.
And a lot of stuff. Absolutely. Well, all that and more still to come. But first, Rise and Shine, story of the day. And joining me in studio now is Maria Hackinson, chargée d'affaires at the Embassy of Sweden here in Rwanda. And then we also have Teddy Goitom from Stockholm Film Fest. Stocktown Films, and Matthew Rugamba from House of Tayo, a frequent guest here on the show. You're part of the show by now. you might as well just,
take your seat now.
And move here, absolutely. So guys, it was great. I got the chance to actually be part of Sweden at Rwanda. It was an amazing thing. The workshop in itself was very inspiring. Now, first of all, Maria, as a country that's, friends with Rwanda, when doing this, because we know, Rwandans from the creative sector also got to go to Stockholm, including Matthew Rugamba.
Yes.
What is Sweden getting from this? I mean, what's in it for Sweden?
Yes, well, firstly, I think from the starting point from the embassy and from the Swedish Institute in Stockholm is that we want to build new relationships with Rwanda. We want to build new networks. We've been in Rwanda for quite many years now with our development cooperation, but we know also that the day will come quite soon when the aid from Sweden is not needed in Rwanda, and we need other ways of collaborating. So this is a way of looking already today to the situation beyond aid, and we thought that creative industry is something where we have expertise and maybe a tradition where we have seen already that the creative economy can be important, and we saw lots of potential in Rwanda with lots of talented creative people I met during my years here, and also a field where it's a meeting on equal basis. I'm sure as much as we could share our experience, we also got inspired of what's happening here. It's a new, vibrant sector.
Now, there's a lot going on for Stocktown Films. When you come here and you get to meet other young men and young women from the Rwandan creative sector, and you see how they're working. I mean, it's not just Matthew. You get to interact with others and mingle with them. What did you see? What got you hopeful about the creative sector here in Rwanda? And what can Stocktown Film benefit from the creative sector here?
I mean, we're always at Stocktown Films interested in hearing new stories and finding new creatives. The whole project that we worked on with Afripedia was about finding stories from the creative scene from major cities. So it's fantastic to meet Rwandan creatives, and I mean, we would hope to stay longer, to go more deeper. Now we've had more of a one-to-one meetings, and next time hopefully we can, for our part, we would love to come back and film stories. And because I think we identify ourselves with creativity, and we know that one story here can inspire someone else somewhere else, and we can find role models. So, yeah.
This in itself is already feeling like another workshop.
Yeah.
Matthew,
Yes.
we've met socially after you came back from Stockholm, but
Yes.
when you went there,
Yes.
you know, I saw pictures here and there, but I never really got the full experience, what you gain from being there, being with other members of the creative sector here in Rwanda, and getting to see how it works in Stockholm, in Sweden, and seeing where they are right now and where we wish
Yeah.
to be at a certain point. What are you getting from them coming here now, you
Yeah.
guys being the host, this time around
Yeah.
and showing your stuff?
I mean, it was eye-opening going to Stockholm. We got to see not only the creative industry, but how creativity permeates through other sectors, education, health, so many different ways. And that's important for us in Rwanda because we need to show that creativity is not just performing arts, it's not just fashion, it does a lot more. And you know, it will work its way into architecture, into technology. It's really important. Now, the great thing about having people coming, the team from from Stockholm coming here, is that we got to continue the discussion and come up with something concrete plans. We got together once again. You know, we have this vision of what creative society in Rwanda could look like, but it was good to have you know, people from so many different stakeholders. The embassy has been very supportive, even outside this project. You know, making sure that they attend events that different creatives put on, and you know, people from you know, the university. You know, Arthur Joash from the head of the creative department at KISS, the creative design department. So it was great to have so many different stakeholders interacting and coming up with a concrete plan saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to drive our industry forward.
Now, Teddy, I want to talk about Afripedia for a minute. I mean, this is a platform that's only geared towards musicians, because here in Rwanda, here's what happens. We've had certain artists who are starting to sell their music, their songs, through mobile, through digital ways. Now, that wasn't always the case here. It was mostly, you know, you buy a CD here, you go to a store, but they're starting to catch up with the digital world. Will that be a platform where they can actually sell their stuff? Because, you know, like it or not, the creative world needs to be founded, and they need to understand how this whole thing works. What are you doing about that?
Well, first of all, like Afripedia is much more than only music. We're looking into fashion, into art, into all kinds of fields. But when it comes at the end of the story, we want people to get paid. So if we can find a distribution form for music, great. If we can find that there are talented people who need also to sell their services, that's a place that we want to build.
Now, Maria, when we're talking about the creative world, what have you seen here that has really caught your eye? I mean, we're talking about multiple different companies, multiple different entrepreneurs who have different aspirations. What are you seeing that really has you wanting to do more as a country that's trying to invest in that sector here in Rwanda?
Well, it's my 4th year here in Kigali, and I have to say it's fascinating to be in a place which develops so quickly. So I think already from these years it's a difference in Kigali. I think for me, firstly, it was the art I discovered. There are several good art galleries or art centers, and then from there maybe into fashion, to music, and also now more photography. You have all kind, you have communication agencies telling their stories. So I see that it's really broadening. On the other hand, I think that Rwanda as a country has put lots of emphasis as culture, as a value, as a unifying source for the country, which is obviously very important, but maybe have not really yet seen the potential for the economy. And we know in Sweden also, of course, that culture has lots of dimensions and values, but it also could be part of creating job, export earnings, etc. And I think there is also an opening for the government here to look at that. And I was very encouraged by the participation also from the government in the event, and also to see that a lot of things are happening. We see plans of a new national plan for creative industries, etc., etc. So hopefully this event also could be a little bit of input to the work that's ongoing here and could assist in that.
There's more and more a global feeling to the world. It's gotten smaller and smaller with the internet and all these things. My introduction to your country was through tennis.
Oh yes.
Stefan Edberg and
Yeah.
Mats Wilander, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah, we should maybe look at sports exchange also at some point. That's
Absolutely.
true.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. We appreciate that, and hopefully there'll be more workshops like the one we had last week. It was amazing.
Okay, thank you for having us.
All right. Well, you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
It's unbelievable, but what you see is what you pay.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Time now for your business news. Fidelis Karangwa has the details.
Business stories making headlines today. Pirateran farmers have been urged to embrace modern agricultural practices and value addition to earn more from their crop. Speaking during the Rwanda Pirateran Farmers' Day celebration last week in Goero district, officials from the National Agricultural Export Board said that this will help boost their earnings and export volumes, and urged other Rwandans to embrace the crop, saying Pirateran is a high-value crop that could help improve their household incomes and standards of living. The Pirateran Day is used to sensitize farmers and woo more people into growing the crop, as well as highlight the sector's performance and new developments. So far, the crop is grown in Nyabihu, Musanze, Burera, and Rubavu districts, with more than 10,000 households depending on the crop for their livelihoods. About 32,400 rural households are expected to benefit from a project designed to facilitate them to access financial services. The project, dubbed Climate Resilient Post-Harvest and Agribusiness Support Project, is a 5-year project that will be implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources that will strengthen the capacity of Rwandan farmers in post-harvest handling, investment in post-harvest infrastructure to decrease post-harvest losses, improve quality, and increase output to the market with quality products. With the worth of about 61 billion Rwandan francs, it is intended to help elevate poverty, increase rural income, and contribute to the overall economic development of the country. And a newly launched Rurindo Cultural Center and Cultural Tourism Guidebook are expected to help boost tourism prospects in the country. The new tourist spot and guidebook were unveiled in Rurindo district as the country marked the World Tourism Day on Monday. And speaking during the function, the Minister of Sports and Culture, Julien Wachu, said the government has adopted a policy that seeks to improve the tourism sector, specifically rural tourism. She also commended Rurindo for being the first district to open the cultural center and urged other local governments to emulate the Northern Province district. And joining us now in studio, of course, is Christian Tuesday from Makila.net, here to let us know what to look out for on their website this week. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you.
You're pumped up for this week? You ready?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very ready.
Now, I understand you have, of course, you're going to start off with giving us, some job opportunities that are out there that you look out for. What do you have for us this week?
Yeah, this week it's a little bit different because I have a job for experienced people, not for just graduates.
Yeah, you're giving up on the beginners.
Yeah, no, I'm not giving up. Yeah. Maybe next week I'll be coming with a little bit more. But for this week, we have this organization. It's called Girls Effect, and it's a pretty big organization that operates in London. It has its headquarters in London, and they operate in Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Rwanda. For now, now they are in Rwanda, and they are the one who are into Ninyampinga, who introduced Ninyampinga, and they are looking for a communications manager. Yeah.
So basically, someone to spread the word about their work.
Yeah, to spread the word about the work and deliver powerful stories about the real change for girls. Because they are into to breaking the cycle of poverty for girls. They are improving lives of a lot of girls all around these countries they are operating in, and they are looking forward to reach 250 million girls. Out of living in poverty. They are making a really huge change. So they really need someone who knows what he or she is doing. And so the communications manager will be in charge of spreading the word, and he must be good in creating campaigns that influence a lot of people, a lot of girls to join. And he will also need to be there to brand Ninyampinga around in Rwanda. Ninyampinga is already known.
It's become a big deal. Yes, they're doing some great work.
Yeah. So what I was saying is not just a job for someone who's starting, because it needs at least 6 years of experience. Yeah. So, and you also need to be to have a high profile on communication and PR role. So probably you need to have a LinkedIn, which is pretty rough. And you also need you also need a lot of skills in writing and speaking English. So you really need to be someone who's fluent in both of these. So as long as you got those, you've got the highest gig.
What I love about this job is the fact that it's life-changing, because you get to become part of a movement, basically, something that, if you move up country and see all these little girls who want to be in school, but instead they have to do chores every day and don't have the opportunity to go to school, it's really heartbreaking. So by getting this job, you're definitely joining a move that you'll be super proud of. Now, I understand next week you don't just have one story coming out, but two coming out that we should look out for. And this one has to be my favorite. It's about, I don't actually play a lot of video games, but this one I just might play. Tell us about it.
You don't play video games?
I don't.
But perhaps games on your phone?
On my phone, yes.
Yeah. So I think this one, for developers out there in Rwanda who are just developing websites or other little programs or mobile apps, they need to read this, because this is a good one. Nairobi, people in Kenya have done a really huge improvement. This Nairobi guy, Andrew Kagia, has just developed a video game. Not just a
typical normal video game.
It's a 3D video game. Yeah, and this is something we know from people around in Sony, those
Yes.
guys who do something like Pro Evolution Soccer, those big games, you know, they are in 3D, something you can play and you can see things literally.
Becomes like
Yeah.
real life, basically.
Yeah, in 3 dimensions. So this guy has really, raised the bar higher for Africans and brought something new, something which is not, which is expensive, but it requires a lot of brains. Yeah, it requires a lot when it comes to developing a huge video game like this. So this is something big, something people, developers, especially in Rwanda, should read and feel motivated. Even in Africa, we can do it.
Yeah, especially since our IT section of the economy is doing so well.
Yeah.
I feel like we have so many people who are doing software development, who are designing websites, that kind of stuff. But we need to take it to the next level. So something like this definitely put us in a whole new league.
Yeah. And the biggest barrier or challenge every developer meets, it's all about people telling him, you're not going to profit.
You're not going to
from
make
this.
it.
You're not going to make it
Yes.
because you start from scratch. Yeah, you have something random, something nobody else understands. So as long as you don't stick around and put out all of your energy, you'll get nothing. So this guy has made it. People have discouraged him a lot of time. He says it in the story, but after all, he showed that it's possible.
He's the one who's going to be bringing in the big money at the end of the day, and we'll be looking
Yeah.
at him and saying, we should have told you differently.
Sure. So
For
people,
sure.
I think people need to read this.
Now, what else do you have coming up for us next week?
You know, all of us have done some interviews for job interviews.
And where you've done them and you feel terrible, like what did I just do in that interview?
Yeah.
I know what's worse is before you get into the interview, you've rehearsed the whole interview in your head, you've prepared what to say,
Yeah.
and then they ask you this one thing that sets you off and completely disorganizes you.
Yeah, you know, my first question when they said, how much should we give you? You know,
You're like,
I was like,
wow.
should I say a lot of money? Then they'd be like,
Then
this
they'll be
guy,
like, he's too much.
yeah, he's too much and probably don't know how to do what
Yes.
he's said to do. And you know, a lot of people get stuck when they describe a situation into which you successfully persuaded someone to support your point of view.
Yeah.
And
now I think the tricky part with that is you don't want to seem like you're bragging at the same time, because it's very important that they don't think you're just someone who's really proud, who just wants to show off all the time. You have to make them see the good that you did, as opposed to just focusing on how you did it and what style you did it in. So I understand you have a trick that can help people make sure that whenever you ask that question, you can answer that question perfectly. That will earn you the job at the end of the day.
Yeah. All these kind of jobs we're always talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, this is something that can help you out to get them up. So there's this method which is studied by most of those guys in economics who knows what they're doing, and it's called the STAR. Basically, it's star.
The star.
Yeah, star, like any star in the air. So this STAR method, it stands for situation, task, action, and result. And it's all about when they ask you a question like that, explain what you did and how you overcame it. You just think of the situation and evaluate what you did. No, it doesn't have to be job related, because sometimes it's your
It's
first
just a
interview.
real life situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just evaluate your situation, what you undertook, and the action you took, and the result, and you just tell them, talk about them freely, and well, it end up great. But that's not all, because I'm not the writer who wrote this. But all you need to do is log into Aquila, find a lot about this, and find all of those questions.
For sure.
Examples.
There's
of
even
questions.
prep questions that you guys have on the website.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank
do.
you, Christian, for coming to the show once again. Look forward to having you again next week.
Yeah.
And remember, you can find all this on www.aquila.net for sure. Well, you're up to date today's business headlines. Postings come up next in just a minute. Here's East Asia.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Time now for your sports news. I'm Regis Isheja. Starting with local football, Mukura Victory Sport head coach Godfrey Okoko has warned his rivals that his side should be taken seriously in the race for the Azam Rwanda Premier League title after beating Rwamagana City 2-1 over the weekend. Burundian import Christopher Ndaishimiye scored a second-half brace to send Mukura to second position with 6 points, only behind leaders Police, who drew 1-1 with reigning champions APR FC. The best position Mukura has managed in the last 20 seasons was second place back in the 2011-2012 season under Okoko. Last season, the Huye-based black and yellow outfit finished in 10th position with 29 points. Meanwhile, Rayon Sport failed to collect maximum points after being held to a goalless draw by second from bottom Etincelle at Tam Tam Stadium in Rubavu. It is Etincelle's first point of the season. On to golf now. If there was any debate as to who should win the PGA Tour's peer-voted Player of the Year award, made the closing statements that ended the race. Spieth won the Tour Championship at East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta by 4 shots and, in the process, clinched the 2014-2015 FedEx Cup as well as its $10 million first place prize. The 22-year-old posted a final round 1 under 69 to win at 9 under 271. Spieth became the youngest player in 9 seasons to win the FedEx Cup and becomes the youngest player to ever win the Tour Championship. With the $1.5 million check for winning the Tour Championship, Spieth topples 2004 Vijay Singh for the most lucrative season in PGA Tour history, earning just over $22 million in 25 official tournaments. He also locks up the Varden Trophy for the lowest scoring average of the year, and when his peers vote, he will win the PGA Tour Player of the Year award. Now on to the UEFA Champions League. On match day 2 of the UEFA Champions League, and in the midst of perhaps the most tasting period of his entire career, Jose Mourinho returns to somewhere he will always be loved and where he enjoyed one of these greatest achievements, but the wonder is whether his first real managerial home will only worsen his current problems. Just 11 years since Mourinho improbably guided them to the Champions League itself in what remains one of the competition's finest feats, the two-time winners also have a bright young coach in Julen Lopetegui. In another link to the past, the former goalkeeper also worked with Mourinho and many other modern coaching giants like Pep Guardiola when at Barcelona in 1996-1997, and that only deepens the intrigue of the match. After the setback of the 2-2 draw at Newcastle United, Mourinho needs to get his team winning again. Now, in the other main match tonight, Luis Enrique will have to readjust without injured Lionel Messi as FC Barcelona hosts Bayer Leverkusen. Now, you're up to date with today's sports news. News are coming up next. Do not go anywhere.
Let's take a look now at news making headlines here in Rwanda and around the world.
His Excellency President Paul Kagame has attributed Rwanda's steady progress in the last decade to adoption of homegrown solutions. The president was addressing a high-level meeting during the United Nations Summit for the adoption of the post-2015 development agenda convened under the theme A New Rural Development Paradigm and the Inclusive and Sustainable New Communities model inspired by the Semagul Undong in New York City. The event, co-hosted by the UNDP, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea, and OECD, was an opportunity to discuss the central role of rural development in sustainable development goals. Citing Korea's Searnul Undong success in achieving development, President Kagame described Korea's homegrown solution as testimony that local ownership of development programs, citizen involvement, and national unity always yields results.
Young Rwandans in diaspora have asked to be actively involved in the ongoing national developments, saying they are ready to contribute to their skills, abilities, and resources. They met the call at a 3-day forum that gathered more than 700 Rwandans in the diaspora in Montreal, Canada. The forum, International Rwanda Youth for Development, was organized by the Rwanda youth groups across the world in collaboration with the government of Rwanda. The inaugural forum discussed the opportunities in the Rwandan economy and ways to penetrate the market and share success stories of emerging Rwandan enterprises. It was attended by government officials led by Francis Gatare, the Chief Executive Officer of the Rwanda Development Board, the Honorable Francis Haboneka, the Minister of Local Government, and the Honorable Jean-Philbert Sengimana, the Minister of Youth and ICT. The government officials reassured Rwandans living in the diaspora that the economy was sound and steady.
And in international news, dozens of British troops are to be sent to Somalia to help peacekeeping efforts to counter Islamist militants. Up to 70 personnel will join a United Nations contingent supporting African Union troops fighting Al-Shabaab. Up to 300 could also be deployed in South Sudan over time. Prime Minister David Cameron, who also pledged the support at the UN General Assembly Summit, said the approach could help curb migrants coming to Europe. Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud is one of several world leaders with whom Mr. Cameron will hold face-to-face talks. Al-Shabaab is battling Somalia's government for control of the country. British forces deployed there will provide combat training and medical, logistical, and engineering support.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin has called for the original coordinating structure against Islamic State. Mr. Putin reiterated his support for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who Western countries and the Syrian opposition have said must go. The crisis is expected to be high on the agenda as world leaders gather at the UN in New York City. Relations between Russia and the West have been strained over Moscow's annexation of Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula last year and support for separatist rebels. Meanwhile, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, a key regional ally of President Assad, said the government in Damascus can be weakened if IS militants are to be defeated. European leaders are intensifying calls for a diplomatic push in Syria in the wake of a massive influx of refugees heading for Europe. Okay, lots more still to come. We'll take a look at what's hot right now in the Daily Debate section, Hot Topics. We'll be right back.
It's unbelievable, but what you see is what you pay.
Lately, weekends in Kigali can only be described by one word: action-packed. And just this past weekend, an event sponsored by Coke Zero, music and graffiti were brought together to give us a night to remember. Take a look. Soft drink lovers have for a while now found it hard to enjoy one of their favorite drinks, famously known as Coke Zero. The drink that could previously only be found in plastic bottles and at a relatively higher price was relaunched in Rwanda this past weekend in a move to meet the growing demand of this drink, mostly from people who would like to enjoy their soft drinks with a little less sugar. The event saw the likes of graffiti artist Ways 2 from Nairobi, Kenya, entertain the crowd with some of his masterpieces, as well as various DJs who kept the music on point all day long. So what's new with Coke Zero? Well, 1, it's now in a glass bottle, and 2, you can get it for only 300 Rwandan francs. Clearly, our worries for calories are going to be a thing of the past. Now remember, it's possible to enjoy your favorite drink, look and feel best at the same time. Kangwa Fidelis, Rise and Shine Rwanda.
All right, Fidelis, now the repackaging, it's great news always, but why repackaging?
Well, for the longest time, people like myself who love Coke Zero have had to only purchase it mostly in supermarkets because it was really hard to find in your local boutique or kiosk in the quartier. So they're trying to address the need of people who necessarily can't afford to go to supermarkets and buy it. So 1, it was always in plastic bottles, and 2, it was slightly more expensive to buy as compared to the normal Coke that you'd find for 300 francs in the normal boutiques. So basically they decided to repackage it, remove it from plastic bottles 2 glass bottles, 1, and 2 to now bring it down to 300 Rwandan francs. So basically, everyone can enjoy it. It's no longer just a thing for people who only can afford a particular amount of money to afford sodas. So it's going to be for everybody.
Now, why do people should go for Coke Zero? I mean, what's different between Coke Zero and other sort of, soft drinks, starting with the regular Coca-Cola?
Well, the reason it's called Coke Zero is because it has 0 sugar. So it has a lot less sugar than all the other soft drinks have. So basically, most people who normally take people, let's say diabetic people or people on diets and that kind of stuff, because it also has less calories, because less sugar means less calories really. So that's the main point. So it's something that people should adopt into their life. I mean, everyone is trying to live a healthy lifestyle lately, or me, you, everybody really. People are waking up or going to gyms, but there's still some things that they're doing wrong, like always having soft drinks that have lots of sugar, juice, all these things. So maybe they can supplement them with a Coke Zero, because it's a healthier option basically. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. That's great. Now, have you tested it yourself?
I have. I love it. I told you I used to buy it before at the supermarket, but hey, it doesn't hurt that now I'll be getting it for like 300 francs. Good deal for me. I love it. I love the idea.
Right. Well,
also, the other good thing is, by the way, when it was launched, there's something really huge that happened. Is they had graffiti artist Wise2 from Nairobi, very famous for his graffiti work. So while people were enjoying sampling of the Coke Zero, they could see some of his work pieces. There was really good music for having a good time, as you saw in the video. But the other thing is, you see that's roundabout close to Kazuka Mazi, so the way from Lycée de Kigali. There's that roundabout over there.
Right.
So they're going to have a mural up specifically, that's brought to you by Coke Zero. So good thing to look out for.
You know what? As long as it's
Art
fancy
in
and it's
Kigali.
cool, I'm all for it. I
For
like
sure.
that. Well, great report, Fidelis.
Thank you.
All right. You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Do not go anywhere. Hot topics are coming up next. Welcome back, and it's that Hot Topics time again. As always, the Rise and Shine Rwanda team have been out and about, gathering everything you need to know about what's happening here and abroad. From what's trending on Twitter to the debate in your local cafe, we've got it for you right here and right now. All right, Fidelis, so, a lot going on social media again yesterday and today, actually. The Pope's visit to the United States. Now,
everyone's talking about it.
Right, and it has a lot of buzz to it. A lot of people have different point of views when it comes to it, whether you're Catholic or not, or whether you're Catholic but don't actually go to church. There's different point of views. Now, there's a lot of people who are asking, why is the Pope regarded so highly? Why, when he goes to a country, it creates this
It becomes
frenzy,
a big deal.
right? And why is he? Who is he to begin with? You have a lot of people asking that, especially in the U.S., where they're not the closest people to Rome per se. They don't get it. A lot of people don't get it. So on social media, there's been a lot of tweets where people go, they actually look up his salary just to understand why he's paid so highly. And a lot of people are saying he's being treated like a head of state, which he actually is, because the Vatican is considered a country. Every time he goes to a country, he's there's an official. It's an official mission. When he gets there, the president has to greet him.
Yeah.
He's welcome to the palace. I mean, what do you think of it? Americans don't get it. They're still trying to grasp what the whole brouhaha is about the Pope. What do you think about it?
Well, for starters, I feel like the Catholic religion, before all these other religions came up, was one of the strongest, and most people were Catholics before they branched out to become other things. So I feel like that's why it has cemented such a strong foundation for itself as a religion. And him being the leader of this particular religion that for a long time has been the main religion is what makes him such a big deal. And also, it doesn't hurt that we have someone like that, because in a time where, like you say, we were talking about it just last week, there's lots of war going on in the country, in the world, sorry. it doesn't hurt that there are people like this who can spread a word of peace and love all over the world. So I don't see why people are hating on the Pope. Hey, I'm good at the Pope, and it doesn't hurt that this one in particular is very, he's energetic and he's fun and he makes jokes.
He's cool, right?
I think it's the first Pope I've ever seen who's like cracked a joke. And I was watching the news just 2 days ago, and I was seeing him give a speech where he's making jokes about marriage, and I was like, that's insane. No normal life, he'd be reading the Bible and
Not even a priest is making those jokes. Now
Exactly,
imagine the
exactly.
Pope,
So
right?
I feel like he wants to become the people's Pope. The one that
This
people
one is a
can
cool
relate
one.
to. Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So I don't see why people are hating on him. What's your take on this?
I think, well, I kind of understand why people are asking themselves why he's such a big deal. I'm a Catholic myself, but I'm not the most church-going person. So I can understand where that
You can
stems
get it,
from.
yeah.
I mean, he's in this car that's bulletproof, and you have a billion people, like you just saw in the picture, a billion people taking
People are
pictures of
crying,
him.
people
It's
are- yeah.
unbelievable. But then again, hey, I mean, to each their own. Some people, if it was Halle Berry, I'll be going crazy
I'm
too.
saying, take the blessing, stop complaining.
Everybody
Easy.
has a different
Easy.
has different things they dig. Let's
Easy.
move on to another big deal yesterday. If you were up late, you saw on social media that everybody in the northern hemisphere, but even some here in the southern hemisphere, were waiting for the eclipse. Now, the moon was supposed to turn red. Everybody was excited. Some of my friends waited up until crazy hours of the morning the dawn, to see this. Apparently, it's supposed to come back in like 2033 or something.
Really?
But, well, let's just say that.
Did you stay up for it? Is the question.
No.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Thank you.
not. If it's not the World Cup, the NBA finals.
I wouldn't stay up for the World Cup either.
I'm not
All
staying
I'm
up.
saying is there are very few things that will keep me from my bed.
Right.
And if it's not the end of the world, then I'm going to bed.
Absolutely.
I'm going to sleep.
It's got to be the World Cup or the NBA finals. One of those two.
Yeah.
If it's not, nah.
But hey,
sorry.
it's a really interesting thing. People have been posting pictures on Instagram.
Nah.
I feel like I was part of it because of all the pictures that I've seen. So I don't feel like I missed out much.
Yeah, it's
Nah,
cool. I'll
nah.
be fine. I'll be fine. Now, if it was a check, I would have been up for 3 days. Now, that's another thing.
I get you.
You
I
get
get
me?
it. I
All
get
right.
you.
Now
Don't
let's move on
worry.
to another thing. Stromae is finally coming, October 17th. He's going to Kinshasa first, because those are the 2 dates he was supposed to conclude with.
Yes.
His tour in last June. Everybody was excited because people wanted to see him, starting with me.
People had brought tickets.
Exactly, they got refunded, but now he got ill and had to go back to Belgium, as an emergency. Now he's coming. He's doing Kinshasa and Kigali. Now, here's the thing. After 3 months, actually it will be 4 months at that point, do you feel like people are still excited to see Stromae in Rwanda? Do you feel like they're like, nah, he was supposed to come,
We
we're
got
all
over the hype?
excited, now, nah.
No, I feel like people still go. I mean, people still love his music until today. If his music can play when you guys are out having a good time and people dance with, then definitely people are going to see him when he comes to perform. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Problem is, what I'm still wondering is, how many people know his music though? Because I don't want it to be those concerts where, honestly, I'm excited to go
Are
for
you
this one.
serious?
I really am. I'm excited
Yeah.
to go for this one. But I don't want it to be those concerts where we go there and like we only know like 3 of his songs, and then the rest of the time he's performing, and then people are just looking at
But
him
then
like,
again, here's the thing. He has 3 huge songs. Like, these are crossovers. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're an Anglophone, a Francophone, whether you speak whatever language it is you're more comfortable in. He's Alors on danse, Formidable, and
the one with the
Papa
Twitter,
Ute.
there's another one with the social media.
Yeah, there's another one. I mean, it's like 3
Yeah.
huge songs and another one that's pretty big, and that's it. Everything else, you really have to listen to the entire album. I have, because I'm a huge fan, but not everybody is. So I think I'm excited. I'll be standing, whatever, front row. This is, woo,
No, but
this is something.
the other thing that also got me to really want to go for this one is I saw what he did for his New York tour.
Right.
And he's on the street and he's giving out flyers and people looking at him like he's a crazy person.
He
and
did
he's
that in
giving-
Belgium too. He did
and,
that in Paris.
he's giving out flyers to people and people are
Right.
like, they're throwing to his face. I was just like, the fact that he can come and take that from people who don't know him, it is such a big deal.
He's super cool.
Makes him a cool person.
He's
So
super cool.
I'd love to meet someone
Very
like that.
down
so.
to earth. I've never gotten the chance to meet him, but
Yeah?
from those who know him, he's really down to earth, a really cool guy. I can't wait to have him in Kigali.
For sure.
If we're lucky, he'll hit the couch, right?
Hopefully. We'll keep
Hopefully.
it warm for him.
All right. Well, don't forget, we love to hear your thoughts, comment, and feedback on what we're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on Facebook and send us your ideas for programs. Check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda YouTube page where you can catch all the shows and the reports we do on a daily basis. Find us on Instagram, Rise and Shine RW. We'd love to see your pictures. Or check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda website. That's www.riseandshinerwanda.rw. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We'd love to hear your feedback, so do let us know if you have an idea for the program. You've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Regis Isheja.
And me, Fidelis Kang, will be back here same time, same place tomorrow, so join us then. But for now, from the both of us and the rest of the Rise and Shine Rwanda team, have a very good day.
Bye-bye.